All right, my friends, I am so glad you are with me today because we are going to need a full week to unravel and talk through this election, the next weeks, months, years. But the big news, of course, coming over the weekend, multiple networks finally calling the presidential election for Joe Biden. Joe Biden has defeated Donald Trump and will be the 46th president of the United States, defeating Donald Trump by roughly 4.5 million votes in the popular vote. We're still waiting on final numbers from some states, but as of now, 290 to 214 in the Electoral College. Georgia expected to push that to 306 electoral votes, the same number that Donald Trump had in 2016, which at the time he and Kellyanne Conway and others described as a massive landslide victory. And the world, with some few exceptions, has breathed a collective sigh of relief. It took days for networks to get comfortable enough with the margin in Pennsylvania and Nevada to call the election, but they did on Saturday morning, leading to the spontaneous breakout of happy people singing and dancing in the streets, quite literally all over the world. The communism didn't break out. The suburbs weren't destroyed. Toilets still flushed just once and worked well enough. But despite all of the things Trump said would happen that didn't happen, mostly masks at the events that broke out, although some real concerns about coronavirus, and we're going to get to that. Joe Biden will become the 46th president. Senator Kamala Harris, now vice president-elect Kamala Harris, will become the first woman in the White House as president or vice president in the history of the United States. Her husband will become the first ever second gentleman of the United States, the first Jewish person, man or woman, as spouse of a president or VP. Now, despite this, Donald Trump has not yet conceded the election. Remember, concession is an irrelevant formality. It is legally irrelevant, but concession is what you would expect an adult to do. Donald Trump continues to tweet, insists that this was a stolen election, that there was fraud, or as he says, fraud, like a petulant child, and there is no telling how much longer he will keep going. He's even being reportedly pressured by Rudy Giuliani and others to start holding rallies again. Rallies not about people voting for him, but rallies to build pressure for, I guess, recounts. We'll have more about that maybe tomorrow. But just remember, come January 20th, 2021, Donald Trump will no longer be president. But for now, he won't stop, truly making a fool out of himself, tweeting such gems as, quote, "Since when does the lamestream media call who our next president will be? We have all learned a lot in the last 2 weeks." Well, remember, when they called it for him with far fewer electoral votes, not even 270 actually back in 2016, he gladly accepted it. Trump also tweeting in all caps, "The observers were not allowed into the counting rooms. I won the election, got 71 million legal votes. Bad things happened which our observers were not allowed to see. Never happened before. Millions of mail-in ballots were sent to people who never asked for them." Now, that's not true. There were Republican and Democratic observers everywhere. This concept of legal votes is a disgusting concept. Something is either a vote from a person or it is not. Trump also tweeting, "I won this election by a lot." Why have Trump and Republicans accepted the results from the House and Senate, but not the presidential results? Everything was on the same ballots, my friends. And almost poetic was the news that at the time networks called the election Saturday morning, Donald Trump was golfing. Now, as far as Trump's next 2 months, he might as well stay on the golf course for all I care, to be perfectly frank. Multiple reports are that Trump's inner circle has been trying to figure out who's going to go in and tell him to concede. Reportedly, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, trying to get him to concede, maybe, although contrasting reports that Kushner is saying start doing rallies. His wife, reportedly, at least for now, his wife, we will see what happens with that after the presidency is over. Melania Trump reportedly also saying you should concede, save some face, but others like Rudy telling him do rallies. So the focus now shifts to the Senate. There will be 2 runoff elections in Georgia. Those will ultimately decide who controls the Senate for Joe Biden's first 2 years. I will talk about that a little later. Now, let's understand how good this is, but also the limits. Problems aren't solved because Trump is leaving. We will all be staying vigilant. We will all be keeping the Biden-Harris administration accountable, and we have to deal with the virus. We may not have the Senate, but this is a major accomplishment. It's okay to hold two conflicting feelings. This is news worthy of rejoicing about. Removing an incumbent president is difficult. When we talk about the power of incumbency, it's not a talking point. It's a real thing. And yet at the same time, we still have so many problems that now the work begins, and it will be big work. There will also be plenty of time to talk about the problems of the Democratic Party, because to be perfectly clear, massive recession, record GDP decline, explosive unemployment rate, out of control rent foreclosure crisis, abject failure in dealing with a pandemic, and Democrats barely got the presidency. It came down to under 100,000 votes in 3 states. You could say it came down to under 50,000 votes in 2 states. It's unclear who will control the Senate. So the Democratic Party eked this out just barely and almost blew it. And we have to talk about that as well. It's not just the Democratic Party. Trumpism has not been defeated. Trump got more than 70 million votes, and we will talk about that. So this should feel like what it is. A great start. And this is how progress is made. We are all correct to feel a combination of panic and despair at 70 million people saying, give me another 4 years of Trump. But this is when the work starts, and we'll be going through all of it. One of our sponsors today is Helix Sleep, and it's a sponsor I'm thrilled about because I sleep on a Helix mattress at home, and it's just the perfect mattress. One of the best things about Helix is you don't have to guess which mattress do I need, which one will be good for me. You take their famous sleep quiz on their website. You tell them your body type, your sleeping position, your back pain issues you might have, and they will pair you with a mattress that will be perfect for you. I took the sleep quiz. The mattress they suggested was exactly what I needed. I often get too hot at night. The mattress keeps me cool. It's not too soft. It's not too firm. The texture is right. And I've just been getting way better sleep. You only buy a mattress every decade or so. Don't get stuck with something that's not perfect for you. And all Helix mattresses come with a 10-year warranty, and they'll even come to your house and pick it up within 100 days if you don't love it. But I think you will. All of my viewers will get up to $200 off your order, and you'll get 2 super premium pillows for free when you go to the link right underneath this video.